Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, starring Gerard Butler returning as Big Nick and O'Shea Jackson Jr. returning as Donnie Wilson, even though this he goes by Jean Jacques, because the backdrop is kind of set mainly in like France. There's some shots in like Germany. There's a few other spots. It's like more European setting, which was at least kind of cool. Like the visuals are pretty cool. But the heist that they're going on is pretty dumb. They're going after like the diamond exchange, and you'd think it would be really intricate and whatever. And they do pretty good with it because it's kind of silent. It builds up for this whole thing, and it's really quick. It's like pretty quickly done. It doesn't seem very clever, but there's some good scenes throughout it. There's some good exchanges and dialogue, but there's a lot of leaps of faith you got to take in this. Like just how the guy who's been tracking him, Big Nick, has been tracking him for I believe it's either 2 or 3 years now after the first heist, and now he's going to try to join the guy's team to help them pull off this thing and try to convince him that he's not a cop and all that stuff, or maybe he is, maybe he isn't type of deal. And it's like they bring him in and it's like, oh, this is the guy, this is a friend of mine from jail, and then almost like the next scene it's like, oh yeah, well they found out he was a cop. So it's kind of pointless, but it's like I said, there's some major leaps of faith you got to take to enjoy some of this movie. The biggest problem I had with it is it's way the hell too long. Really, really long. It's like over 2.5 hours long. It doesn't need to be that long. The plot is pretty straightforward and simple, and the way that they pull off the heist is not that entertaining. And then the ending. There's like 2 or 3 different endings to this movie that don't really need to be there. They could have just wrapped it all up, but no, they're like, you could tell they're kind of trying to go for other ones and maybe make it into a bigger thing than it is. I could see people liking it overall, but like I said, it's very long. A couple people in my theater straight up fell asleep. Like I heard multiple people actually snoring, so that didn't really help with my encouragement of it. The other big problem I had with it is there's a lot of other language talk in it, and I don't know if this was just my theater and they were just playing a version that didn't have subtitles for it, but there's a lot of long dialogue in other languages that you can kind of piece together in your own head of what's being talked about. But if you don't speak those languages, there's no subtitles there to help you out at all, even for little exchanges that the main characters are hearing. Because there'd be times when there would be other characters that, that are in those in those settings that they're speaking their own language and they're just having a conversation and there's still no dialogue. There's no closed captions or anything. There's no translation going on, or it's not even, there's not even scenes where it's like somebody talks and then somebody says what they said, like somebody translates it for you as the audience. So it's like you're kind of lost for some of it. Like I didn't really care for that part either. And then the main thing, it's just too long. I don't think it's anywhere as good as the first one. The two main characters, the Gerard Butler's character and O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character, they got good chemistry still, and they're kind of fun to watch. There's a couple fun scenes in it, but like I said, it's 2.5 hours. That's a long time for like a pretty straightforward heist movie, because the heist itself only ends up taking. I feel like it's only like a 10 to 15 minute sequence, and then the ending was pretty lackluster. So I can't really recommend this movie. If you do go check it out, let me know what you think about it. Also, if you see it and yours has subtitles in it, let me know. Maybe it just happened to not have it at my theater, which I think would be really lame. But mine didn't have subtitles, so that kind of really hindered the experience. I felt like I was missing some stuff. I mean, you could, like I said, you can kind of put together some of it, but there's a lot of scenes in other languages. There's a lot of dialogue in another language, and like I think there's a couple different languages being spoke, and none of them are translated. So I don't know, that didn't really help with my theater going experience. And the action is kind of lackluster. The little bit that is in there didn't really feel like the stakes were as crazy or like as interesting. Because it's all just one team this time instead of like two teams going at each other. So I don't know. I didn't really enjoy my experience with this movie. I hope to see, if I see it again, I hope there's subtitles in it. Maybe that'll help with some of the dialogue. Because other than that, it's just kind of boring. But let me know if you guys see it and how your theater does it if there's subtitles or not. That's what I'm kind of more interested in. Anyways, you guys have a good one. Peace.